there's a beautiful saying that our mind and body are connected to each other. And if we want to work on our mind, we must work on our body too. And if we want to work on our body, we must work on our mind. And today, we have the perfect guy to teach us about those two parts. His name is Yehiel Dahan. He's a great friend of mine and such a fascinating person that I'm super excited for you to learn and hear from about the perspective of making ourselves better by improving our health and mental state. So Yehiel, how are you doing today?
Hey, Yuval, first of all, thank you so much for having me here. I have to say that it's super exciting following you for a while. And what you said was just beautiful. I really enjoyed and connect to what you say. It couldn't be more true than that.
So, I know you are a mental and nutritional coach, and you help so many people to change their lives. And you have also a great knowledge in sales and in influence and in marketing. You do so many things that connects to people. And today I hope that we can dive into your mind to discover what's going on behind the scenes and what helped you make such a big change in your life, because I know your story and you will share a little bit with our listeners today, your personal story, what shift did you made in your life. But before that, give us maybe a short introduction about you. What are you currently doing and what they are about to learn?
Yeah, so like you said, my name is Yehiel. I'm about to be 31 years old soon. That's also exciting. And like you mentioned before, I'm kind of touching different areas that are interesting to me in my life. Some of them can be more social, but what we're going to speak about today is more about the nutrition and fitness side, what I'm doing. Basically, I'm helping people to lose weight. If I'll say it is a general thing, right? And my connection to that actually started because of my self-image. So because of my interest in fitness, nutrition, and self-image, I kind of decided to combine both worlds. And the product of that, like you mentioned before, it's something very unique, very beautiful that I'm developing nowadays, and I'm super excited about it.
So you made a change in your life that made you go into the self-development world and the nutrition world. So maybe share with us, what was that change that made you become the person you are today, that made you become the better version of yourself? So we can learn a little bit from that perspective how the listeners can change their lives and maybe take some insights from that for their lives.
Got it. Yeah, so honestly, I think that the first thing that a person got to understand is I don't know, you might be able to resonate with it, but I remember the moment with me that I just woke up one day in the morning and I looked in the mirror, and that feeling that that you can do more, but you're not there. And I've been going with that feeling for a while. And I will never forget, last year, it was May 2023. I was in Israel. I had this vacation. And when I visited my family, my parents had such pressure on me, like, come back to Israel. What do you get to do there? You got nothing there. Come on, come back. Come, it's not too late to study. And, all of the parent spiel that just want their kid to be next to them, right? And it really hit me. And I was thinking, what am I missing in my life? Why don't I achieve everything that I want to achieve at this point? Why am I for years saying that I want to do certain things, but I keep breaking my own promise to myself? And, I was going with this question for a while, and I was like, you know what? If I'm going back to the US, if I'm going back to be away from my family, I have to get it done right this time. I have to really get it done and do it the right way this time. So I just took a paper and I kind of divided it for 5 sections that I want to improve in my life. And I started writing, okay, fitness. What would be my ideal situation? What do I want? How I'm going to get to there? So I'm like, okay, I want fucking Ryan Reynolds body. Excuse me for my language. There's this Canadian actor that plays Deadpool. So that was one thing that inspired me. And then I said, okay, social-wise, what do I want? So I want to have more friends. I think that back then I didn't have too many friends back then because I was after a breakup and all of these things. And I said, okay, I got to do something about it. And I said, okay, I want to have a healthy relationship next time. That also led me to, actually, it was a funny thing, but it led me to open a singles group for young Jewish singles. So if you're not part of that and you're single and Jewish and listen to that, you probably should join to our group as well. So I kind of started to ask myself different things, and I started to act accordingly in order to achieve them. And the first thing for me that I started to really take to the next level was my fitness. And the reason I started with it, I don't know, like I always had this dream that I always kept breaking my promises to myself about it. And the worst thing that can happen to a person that's trying to achieve these goals and he doesn't achieve them is probably self-esteem and self-respect is low, because a person that doesn't keep his promises to himself doesn't trust himself. And because he doesn't trust himself, he cannot make any progress, because you are kind of in a cycle of like self-criticism, and you keep kind of cutting your own wings. You know what I mean? I don't know how to say this in
Yeah.
English.
So I'm curious, how did you in your life, looking at that, breaking your own word and not be able to follow after your promises, how did you made the change? What made you following your word and making this shift and start to achieving your goals?
Okay, that's a great question. So now when I'm looking back, I kind of able to analyze what was going on. But basically, the first step was to acknowledge my situation. Now, don't get me wrong. Most people do acknowledge their situation. When someone is overweight, they can tell, okay, I'm overweight. When someone is single for many years, you can say, okay, I'm single for X years. Like we acknowledge our situation. But I think that what made me to really move forward was the realization of acceptance. Not just to acknowledge my problem, but also to accept it and say, like, you know what? I accept it. I don't deny it. I don't try to circle it around. I don't try to find magic solutions, because it doesn't work. And when you really accepting your current situation, I'm not saying that you're accepting that you want to stay there, but you're accepting yourself within that situation. You don't deny yourself. That's the point when you are becoming more ready to pay the price in order to achieve whatever you want to achieve. So that was kind of the tilting point for me, basically.
Talking about prices that we're willing to pay, sometimes we don't do things because we don't want to pay the price, but we don't ask ourselves that question. So you brought up some great thing to pay attention to. So for the listeners, ask yourselves, why am I not achieving this goal? What prices do I have to pay? Because our subconscious has a positive reason for preventing us from achieving that goal. So we have to discover that. What prevents me from achieving that goal? What prices will I have to pay if I go for it? And then we can start plan about achieving that goal, maybe from different directions, or maybe we are willing to pay those prices, or finding other solutions, or maybe the goal is not for us. Maybe we're not excited about it as we thought about it as we dive deeper. So that's a great point that you brought here, Yehiel, that I want them to really pay attention to.
Mm-hmm.
So diving into that world of mentality, so you made a change in your body, and you actually made a physical change. People saw you a couple of years ago, and they see you now. They see now the abs. They see now you built the Iron Man build. And what can help them, for those, for example, who wants to make an improvement in their body, in their health? What would help them to start and do it? Because people procrastinate all the time of going to the gym, of working out. They say they want, but something is stopping them. What could help them to start run this machine and get it work for them?
Beautiful, Yuval. That's like okay. So if you listen to that and you really want to make a change, you better pay attention carefully, because what I'm about to share with you right now can really make a shift in your life. So two things that are super crucial. After you accept the situation, you got to realize two things. First of all, you have to stop making comparisons. First, making comparisons to others, and second, making comparisons to your past. I remember, for example, on me, when I used to be in the military, I also used to have a very nice build, not like now, but I was very built, I was strong, and I was keep referring myself back to who I used to be. But the truth is that 10 years after, or 7 years after I finished my military service, I'm not I'm not the same person that I've used to be. I don't have the same metabolism, the same habits, the same routine. Things change. So the first thing you got to do is to actually go to your current level. But sometimes we have false expectations. And the problem with that, again, I remind you what we mentioned about someone that doesn't believe themselves because their integrity level is low, because they don't keep their word, they keep breaking it. And when you keep breaking your word and you are setting a very high expectations, you cannot make any progress as well. So I can give you an example of a trainee of mine that he really wants to look like defined. He want to lose the love handles, the schnitzelim, like we call it in Hebrew. And I gave him like a working out plan for the gym. But very fast, following up a week after, he told me, no, I didn't work out at all. I said, what happened? He told me, no, I don't feel comfortable going to the gym. So I was thinking, okay, there's something there that's probably missing, that I probably missed, that I didn't notice. Now I asked him, did you ever work out before in your life? He told me, not really. I said, okay, why don't we do that? Why don't we just start with 4 sets of 10 push-ups? Try to do that to your max ability. And then I follow up again a few days after. And I'm like, hey, what's up? What's going on? How is it going? And again, he tells me, listen, I don't feel good about it. I don't want to do that. And then after digging a little bit deeper, I just realized that the person beat himself up for not being able to even complete 1 set of 10 push-ups. So he felt like he's a loser deep down inside of him after we had some conversation about it, right? And what I'm trying to say is that you got to get to that level. So what I did was like, hey, bro, it's all, first of all, we have to identify his self-talk. His self-talk was very negative. Told him, listen, you're not a loser. It's not that you're not capable. You're just less experienced. You never worked out before in your life and you already did 1 set of 8 push-ups like in a row. Wow, that's impressive. Like you got some abilities, So we first of all have to go to his level, empathize with him. And that's the same with anyone. You want to do the same process with yourself, right? So after you do that, when you accept the situation and you get to your level, said, okay, how can I build up from here? So what we did next was to drop the bar just to 4 sets, 5 push-ups. Almost anyone can do that, for guys at least, right? And now is almost completing 4 sets of 10 push-ups. It was like a few weeks ago that I had this conversation with him. And so that would be the first thing. So a lot of people just try to jump too high right off the bat. And that can be a problem. That would be the first thing. The second thing, it's actually what we talked about before, is the comparison. You got to always compare yourself to what you used to be a week before, 2 weeks before, like when you just started your program, not a year or 10 years ago, if that makes any sense, right? And you always want to strive to be 1% better. Because even if I give you the best workout, the best gym, the best nutrition plan, the best coaching, but you just don't have the capacity to hold it, it will fall shortly. So that's very critical for any process and anything basically that we try to achieve in our lives.
So looking at the changes that people can do by changing their self-talk and raising, it's to raise your standard, but from a perspective of a step by step. I don't need to jump 2 steps.
Mm-hmm.
I can go one by one and get to the same point, and even faster. There is a beautiful quote that says, the long way, the short way is the long way. So
Beautiful.
sometimes we have to take a longer path to get there faster and get better results. So for our listeners, take those things and ask yourself, do you speak negative to yourself? Do you try to step 2 steps at a time? Or maybe 1 step will be more practical and more doable. Make life simple for you. Make processes simple for you. I love to always simplify bigger ideas and bigger goals, because when we see those steps, we can always progress faster and better and grow stronger. And I know by listening right now, you can grow stronger and become better by simplifying your goals and your steps, whether it is nutrition goals, gym goals, or financial goals, any goal that you have in mind. Simplify it. And someone told me a very cool idea. I heard it a long time ago. Is put 5 coins in your right pocket And every time that you, for example, you have a schedule for the day that you need to achieve certain goals. So put 5 goals, set yourself 5 goals for the day that you need to achieve in order to reach that bigger goal. So you have kind of a schedule. And then put 5 coins that represent each goal in the right pocket. Every time you achieve the goal, you move 1 coin to the left pocket. Every time you achieve the goal, you move one coin to the left pocket. And at the end of the day, you should have all of the coins at your left pocket. And if you got back home and you still have some coins at the right pocket, make sure you finish all the tasks and move it all to the left pocket so you get things done. So it's an easy way to follow those steps. So Yehiel, I want to summarize our conversation here today because you shared with us so many great insights about our mind and how we can use it to become better and improve our life. And maybe you have a quote or something that inspires you or inspired you in your life that you can share with our listeners today that they can learn from and take it also for their lives.
Wow.
It could be a famous person, someone that you, maybe a close
Yeah, it's
person
like
to
wow.
you.
It's a wow. That's like I have something in mind. It's just like it's so profound because I've played with this sentence a lot in my head in the past couple of years, and when you get it, you get it. You know, when you get it, you know you get it. So it's like it's different when I just heard it, and it's different today. And the sentence, I don't even remember where I heard it, but it really inspired me. It was, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And if we take it to us personally, and if we take it to self-talk, and we take it to how we treat ourselves, when you start to look at yourself differently, you're going to change accordingly. So that's deep. That's deep. And it's really profound. And when you really manage to realize that you look at yourself differently is when you realize that, wow, like I really made a change.
I love it. It shows us the power that we have as humans to change our reality and create a new reality in our life. And we have so much power that sometimes we don't pay attention to. So recognizing the power that we have to change a reality and create a reality in our life is a first step for making a change in our life. So for our listeners, take this sentence and really look at it from your lives. What you can change the way you look at something and see it change. How you can change your perspective and see the world in a different perspective, in a different light. It's such a big, great concept for you to try and practice because Yehiel talked with us today about techniques that can actually reshape this mindset and reshape this perspective. So use those techniques, apply them. And I know you will apply them because they're very practical. And you already, by listening to them, your mind is start working with them and start applying them. So by taking them, you start to shift your perspective. And already by listening to this podcast, you're changing your perspective. Your mind does the job for you to change your perspective. Trust your mind, trust the process, trust your true self to help you as a guide here in this world because you know the best what's best for you. So Yehiel, I want to thank you for sharing your insights today and fascinating stories and inspiration with all of our listeners that will take those steps and those ideas to shape and change their life and become their best version of themselves. So thank you very
Thank you
much,
so much.
Yehiel. How people can find you also on social media so they can learn more content from you because you upload, you share content so people can reach into that and learn more. So maybe share with us how they can find you.
Yeah, so on Instagram, it's coach.dahan.yehi, which is my name. I'm sure we can add it later on. You're also going to tag me. And yeah, that's it. It was a
Perfect.
pleasure.
Pleasure. Thank you so much, Yehiel.
Thank you so much.